Hi, it's OMONDI Juma here from the Man United Agenda. I'm here with Jacob, Brentford fan, and we're here to talk all things Brentford.
Wow.
Hi, OMONDI Juma here, Man United Agenda again, and then we're here to have something a bit different today. Here to meet up with Jacob again. If you were watching pre-season, Jacob's a Brentford fan, and we were doing a little preview about the friendly we had 2-2 on the 20th of July, I think it was. How are you doing, Jacob?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Man United doing all right, as well as Brentford are as well.
Yeah,
do you want to just give me a little background, please, about what you do and how you've been a fan?
Yeah, so I kind of used to report on Brentford week in, week out, kind of for about 10 years, really, before moving into the national newspapers. And now I'm head of sport for Reach PLC Nationals, and that's the Mirror, Express and Star as well. So the digital, the three websites.
Big. Love that. So, yeah, like I say, we met 28th of July for the pre-season friendly. That was 2-2. I wasn't happy with the result. And but you were saying, yeah, you're going to be all right. But since then, Brentford have started the season, and currently they're sitting in 10th place. This is a newly promoted side, first time in the Prem, sitting 10th place, having played 16 games, 20 points, and they're doing all right. They're doing really well, you know. So this week we're going to talk about Brentford because we're playing you on Tuesday. Man United Agenda going to go down there. We're going to watch the game and interview fans afterwards. But yeah, so we're now December. What we did, the 11th of December now, is it? So we've come a long way, and we've played 16 games. So I just want to get a review from you, Jacob, about how Brentford are doing. And yeah, so let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Premiership.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, it's gone kind of beyond anyone's wildest dreams, really. I mean, we all knew at the start of the season that, survival would be kind of the priority. As it stands at the moment, we're looking good for that. Obviously, there's a long way to go, but I think we've hit that 20-point mark, and everyone talks about 40 points being the magical number. So we're halfway there without having played half of the amount of games. So we're ahead of schedule. I think the management, they've always been keen to stress game at a time and that kind of thing, and pick up as many wins and as many points as we can, and then finish as high up table as we can. But I think, yeah, to be honest, we haven't been overawed. I think the only game really where we haven't really performed that well, with probably two, were Burnley away where we lost, and also Tottenham away. Apart from that, we put in good performance and made a good account of ourselves. Even when we lost to Chelsea at home 1-0, it was a bit of a late onslaught on their goal, and they escaped. And I think Mendy was great that day. So yeah, really, really positive. And despite having a lot of injuries and players unavailable, we're still picking up points. So yeah, all good.
So you're talking about injuries, Jacob. Your goalkeeper, what's his name again? The Spanish guy,
David Raya.
Yeah, injured.
Yeah, out for 5 months. Yeah,
that's terrible, isn't it? I mean, that must be a big blow.
It's a big blow because what he brings to the team in terms of how good he is with the ball at his feet. That's we're a ball-playing team, and he likes to play out from the back. So that is a big blow. However, his deputy has come in, done well. Obviously, it's not the same. He's got big shoes to fill, but he started off a little bit slowly, but he's kind of getting up to speed now. And again, like I said, big shoes to fill, but he's got a good defense in front of him. So,
what's his name, by the way? The new goalkeeper who's come in.
Fernandez. So he actually played for Spain, I believe. I think he won an Olympic medal with them. He's on loan, but he was very much brought in as a backup. But that's what they're there for. This can happen at any time during the season. You can have players injured, suspended, and stuff like that, and we've got to be ready to step into their shoes. And he's kind of done that now.
So, Jacob, is he in the same mould as your previous keeper? The one who's injured? Is he a sweeper keeper? Is he good with his feet? Is he still sticking to the distribution from the back there?
The game plan hasn't changed, but he's not as good with his feet as David Raya is. But that being said, and also the other thing, he's still kind of very inexperienced, but with each game he gets, he's getting more kind of experience under his belt, and it goes for the whole team. To be honest with you, you asked him this summer how well will Brentford do, and the answer was I don't really know, because to be honest, none of them have been tried at this level, that's why it was so hard to predict. Whereas if you take a team like Norwich, where half of their team or more may have already played in the Premier League, so X isn't good enough, or Brentford, you didn't really know. The jury was out on all of them. You could have a guess at how well you thought they would perform, but we just didn't really know until they came up against these sides. But like I said, they've pretty much matched every team they've played so far, so they've passed their tests with flying colours.
You know what? I believe you had a big introduction to the Premiership. I mean, playing Arsenal in the first game. I think that was the first game in the Premiership. Was it on a Friday night? And it was televised, wasn't it? So that was a massive introduction to the league. And I tuned in. I'm sure thousands up and down the country tuned into that. And people kind of don't know much about Brentford and their players, because it's not like they've scouted from Scandinavia and all over the world, haven't they? You've done a preview in the last show about some of the players. Went into depth about a lot of them and their backgrounds, and it's really interesting the way they scouts players. They don't have a B. Do they have a B team or something?
They have a B team. They don't have a youth team. They don't have a youth
team. Okay. So it seems to be working. I mean, with the quality of players you have through. Just to add to that, I was looking the other day. I saw that a lot of youth or younger players have been, like, 2 went to Spurs, a couple went to West Ham. All these players come from Brentford, so you are kind of like a breeding ground for young, talented players. It seems that way.
Yeah, I think that the issue is that we had a couple of players who ended up going to Man United and bigger clubs before they turned pro. So we've developed these players, some from as young as 8 years old or whatever, and they get to 15 or whatever, and then they go to Man City or Man United, and we don't really get any real compensation for them. So therefore, I think the philosophy from the club was, well, what we'll do is we'll pick up players from overseas, which has been made more difficult now because of Brexit and the kind of regulations, but also players that may have been released from bigger clubs, and then we'll give them a chance. And I think the main thing is there's a clear pathway for these players. The amount of players that have gone on to make their first team debuts, there's a lot of them. So yeah, and I think talking about that Arsenal game, I think Brentford would have beaten most teams that night. I don't think there's many teams in the Premier League, honestly, who would have. It was one of the ones. It was the first time that we've had a full stadium in the new stadium. Wow. So for a lot of fans, it's their first ever time going to the ground. I think previous we may have had 4,000 in. So then there was 18,000. It was the whole all of the nation's eyes kind of were on that game because it was the first game of the season. Arsenal had a few COVID cases themselves. The build up, I think Aubameyang and Lacazette were missing, and a few others. So like their disruptions were hampered. So I think pretty much anything we played that night, they would have got a hide in, to be honest. And I think obviously going a goal ahead as well gave us something to hang on to. I think Arsenal just got bullied that night. Ben White was given a torrid evening, by Ivan Toney. I bet you couldn't wait till that final whistle was gone. He was torn to shreds.
That's so true. I think Ben White, even though he's played Premiership football, wasn't a nice sight for him. And yeah, you're right. Tony was winning everything and he's proven to be a great, great player. But just to add, we're going to go back to the Arsenal game. But can you just name for people the familiar players that have played for Brentford over the last few years who are now well-known names in the Premiership?
Sergio Canos scored our first goal. He's been at the club for years. He actually was at Liverpool, made his Premier League debut. I think there's only 2 players who had played at all in the Premier League. One was Sergio Canos, who was at Liverpool, given his debut by Klopp in the final game of the season. Must be 6 or 7 years ago now, before he joined Norwich. And then Ivan Toney's the other one who had, I think, 2 substitute appearances for Newcastle United way back when in the Premier League as well. So that was literally all of our Premier League experience.
What about Jacob? What about the players that have played for Brentford and moved on and played in the Premiership and are now well-known players like
James Tarkowski for Burnley, Ollie Watkins, who's obviously at Villa, Ezri Konsa, who's also at Villa, Said Benrahma, who's at West Ham. Neil Maupay, who's at Brighton. So, Ivan Toney, I think, was the third successive season where we had a striker who scored 25 or more goals last year and a different player.
Wow.
The striking. Yeah, the striking coaches are doing
Yeah.
something currently.
Yeah, definitely, man. So the Arsenal game, oh wow, that was big. And Arsenal went on to lose the next couple of games. I mean, they were really dented by that result. And then you went on to have a away draw with Palace. Any memoirs of that game?
Yeah, I think it was a pretty even game, to be honest. And I think, listen, if you're picking up a point on the road, you're relatively happy. I think if you get a point a game, you'll probably average point a game, you'll probably stay up. So actually, we were unbeaten, and then obviously we had Wolves away as well. Got a victory there, and we started the season really, really well.
And I noticed with some of these games, the results say the draw doesn't really tell the whole story, because a lot of the time you're having more possession and more shots than other teams as well. So it's really a good progression here. You drew with Villa away, you won, you lost at home to Brighton. I mean, that was the first defeat of the season.
I was at that game, went along with my dad, and actually that game really could have went either way. Had Brentford won, Brighton couldn't really complain too much, and vice versa. It was a last gasp goal, great goal from Trossard.
Okay.
But it could have easily been a 0-0, and you would have taken that. So, but there's also been games where we've won and we probably didn't deserve to, like West Ham away. We won last injury time goal by Wissa. That was one of the poorest halves of the season we've had, actually, and then we ended up nicking a last minute goal. Whereas I mentioned the Chelsea game where we hammered them for the last half an hour. We didn't get anything out of it, where we probably deserved at least a draw. So sometimes it goes like that.
So you beaten Wolves away from home. And then I want to talk about this game. The 3-3 with Liverpool, who were flying. They whooped us 5-0. I mean, what a game. What a game. What do you...
Yeah. I was there. It was just end to end. It was a great game for the neutral as well. And I think even after, I think Jurgen Klopp was very complimentary about Brentford and stuff like that. And I think, honestly, I would almost go as far as to say is they're almost everyone's second favourite team, because of the way they play. I mean, I'm not sure if you saw the footage of Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher down there from the Watford game Friday night, but they were up singing and dancing after the game and stuff like that. And Gary Neville says this is his favourite ground to go to now, Brentford. I think it's fans are excited to be in the Premier League. Every game is I wouldn't say like a cup final in terms of the result, but we're enjoying ourselves. Everyone's going into those games, and who knows how long it's going to last. So let's just make the most of it while we're here. But the way it's looking, looks like we might be around for a few years to come.
I hope so. You know what it is, though, with the home form, I've been looking at your home form. It's, even though he's talking about the atmosphere and everything, your home form's not the best. You've been getting some good results away from home as well, haven't you? So are the fans traveling?
To be honest, up until a few games ago, it was quite a thing. Up until we beat Everton, I think we lost a few in a row at home. But that was against Brighton, where we were unlucky. Could have went either way. Leicester, again, really unlucky. Chelsea, unlucky. So actually, there's all of those games that I mentioned, we could have easily got something out of them. So obviously Leeds away, we drew. Tottenham away, we lost. So it is going to go a bit like that. And then we've won our last two home games, Everton and Watford. So I think we've got as many wins at home as we have away. So
so let's get some balance now then. So
yeah,
there's
exactly. No, I don't really know if you were playing at home or anything like that, or we're better playing away. I think every game is different. The fans are traveling in numbers as well. We're selling out all of our away allocations as well. And honestly, the amount of messages and tweets I see, people desperate to get tickets for games. It's chock a block. They're the hottest ticket in town.
Good. And I live in West. We both live in West London, so yeah, I can't wait to go down there on Tuesday and really get a taste of the atmosphere. It's fantastic. I just want to talk about like your system of play, because I've got no idea how you set up the formation. Have you been changing it around? Obviously, Tony's out at the moment. Have you made adjustments like that? And talk about your squad depth as well, because we were talking earlier about your B team. So, are you going to be looking for transfers in January, or are you going to be dwelling into your B team and bringing out some gems?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, we will be on the lookout if there's players that will improve the squad for a reasonable amount of money. We've been really unlucky with injuries. Like I said, once we get those players back, it'll be like having a new signing. So the record signing, Christoph Adja from Celtic, he's been out for the last 2 months.
That's unfortunate.
Tony's out at the moment, obviously with COVID, but that's only a couple of games. David Raya out for up to 5 months where we have really, been really unlucky. Wissa was hitting form, got injured, was out for a couple of months. So we have really struggled. The injury list is pretty long. So once we get those players back and firing, but I mean, like I say, we had this on Watford game. We were without Ivan Toney. Sergi Canos, who played in a more advanced role against Leeds in Tony's absence, was suspended for that game. So we didn't have him either. Wissa started up front and stuff like that. So, everyone's been versatile and adjusting where we can. And, like I said, we're pretty bare at the moment. We are pretty bare, and some B teams are getting called up to the squad. But in reality, they're there to fill the bench, some of them, as opposed to, competing for first team spots.
Right. I've been following the results as well, the B team. It doesn't really, I mean, I've seen them losing quite heavily as well. But it doesn't mean anything, does it? It's just about the getting games and playing competitive football.
Of course. And I think it's about preparing them for men's football, because the reason why we have a B team as opposed to just an under-23 side and playing in an under-23 league is you're playing against academy footballers, very, very nice and very neat and tidy and technically very, very strong. But once you're playing men's football, and we're playing against, we up until the pandemic, we're playing against a lot of top clubs from all over Europe, playing against their B teams and stuff like that. But we're also entered into the Middlesex Cup, so we're playing local teams, like Hamilton and Hendon and teams like that, where it's maybe more physical than you'd be used to in academy football.
So Man United we've just recently changed our formation to a 4-2-2-2. That's how it looks at the moment under Ralph. He's got his own philosophy. You've got a German manager as well. Have you
Danish?
Oh, sorry, Danish. I'm saying that because he's friends with Klopp, isn't he? He seems to be friends with Klopp. They're good mates. But have you changed your formation throughout the season? Have you for different games? How do you think it's set up against Man U?
Yeah, not really. I think we play with 3 centre backs and we play with wing backs, but they're very advanced. When we're attacking, they're playing like wingers, but also when we're defending, they're slotting in. So we've got a bank of 5 as well. They're both. Rico Henry is traditionally a left back. Sergi Canos is traditionally a forward, a wide of a 3 or a winger, but he plays at right wing back as well. Although that being said, he will probably play as the second striker against United. If Tony doesn't make it in time, like he did against Leeds, and he hooked up really well with Brian and Mbeumo. And then obviously we got Christian Norgard patrolling the midfield. Obviously, Danish international.
Good player.
Yeah, really good player. Really good player. Played really well for Denmark in the Euros as well. He's been probably one of our best players, as is Vitaly Janelt, who played left. Is a central midfielder, but who played left of a back 3 on Saturday, on Friday night rather, given the kind of injury problems we've got. But he was must be signing of the century. 500 grand he cost now.
Where from?
We've got him from a club in Germany, but he would be worth, you can't put a price on him. 10 million, 15 million, easy.
So these players have to be versatile to sort of, like you said with Canis and this other guys drop from midfield. So it's 3 at the back, 2 wing backs, 2 midfielders, and then 3 up front.
Well, we've changed because last year, we played with 3 up front, and Tony was the kind of focal point of that attack. But now we play with the 2 up front. So normally it's Tony and then Mbeumo hook up, link up really well, which is probably why Tony doesn't score as many goals, because actually he's very much playing as that link man as well. But obviously, I don't think he'll be ready in time for Wednesday. So it'll be a little bit different. But so we look to push on down the flanks, get crosses in and stuff like that.
So in Mbeumo, he looks good, like a good player. I mean, he's got 4 goals already this season. But it seems like he's hit the post or the crossbar like 8 times as well. So really unfortunate. He would be up there in the charts.
Yeah, he is. Honestly, his pace, scares defenders to death. He is rapid and he runs the channel as well when he needs to, and he's strong as well. And he'll put himself about. I think just missing that finishing touch. That clinical thing. That being said, if he was that clinical, arguably he'd be worth. I can't even, who might put a value on his head, but he's a real deal. You know, he's
So I think you got it from a second division French club, didn't you?
Yeah, I think we paid about 5 or 6 million for him. But he
right.
was the best player in that division.
Okay.
You know, and at the time he was 19 or 20. You know, so he's still developing all of the time. But he's really strong. And his pace, he gets in behind and scares the living daylights out of defenders. Really.
So not only Jacob, I mean, I know you, man. You're not only a Brentford fan, you're a football fan. So you do cover a lot of clubs and everything else. What's your views? Can you just give us a brief summary about what's happening at Man United? We had Ollie, and now we've got Ralph Rangnick in, and he's from Germany. He's changed our whole system. I mean, have you seen much of us? And are you worried?
Not really worried. I think it's a free hit for Brentford. To be honest, I think it's a game that Man United would be expected to win. I think Man United fans would expect them to win it, but I think we can really go out, especially given some of our injury problems and stuff like that, and really have a go. I didn't see the United game against Norwich, but from what I hear, that they were pretty lucky. And I think Gary Neville said if they were to play like they did against Brentford, they'll get run all over. To be honest, so I think there needs to be a big improvement. Hopefully they don't.
Imagine we have this conversation in December. That
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think a couple of weeks ago there was a result. I think when we were playing Tottenham on the Thursday night, that had we won, we would have went level on points with Man United or something at the time.
Wow.
Which would sound pretty crazy, But yeah, we'll go. What we certainly won't do is we won't set up to deal with your threats. We will play our game. We will go out and attack. We don't sit back. And we'll look to cause United problems.
Well, I'll just give you a little secret now about how we play now. We try and press you, keep the ball as far away from our goalkeeper as possible. That means camping you in your half like we did against Palace, kind of suffocate you, kind of press you high. We 2 blocks of two strikers, the 2 10s, 2 6s. We try and press you high, keep you in your half, and then exhaust you and wear you out wave after wave of attack. If you've got pace, maybe the long ball over the top, because we've got to play quite a high line, that might work. But I'm really looking forward to the game. I think if you're not going to change your system, then you might have problems against our new style. I don't know if any other teams, maybe Norwich done well the other day. They packed the midfield to prevent balls getting into Sancho and Bruno. That's key for us, to play vertical balls straight into these guys, and then let them do their bits. But it's going to be interesting. If you're not going to worry about us, then it could be goals, possibly.
Yeah, I think what I would say though is if you're trying to suddenly become a pressing team, you can't do that overnight. Players, you have to be fit to be able to do that. And it's not something that is Ronaldo going to be leading from the front doing that? Are they going to be able to do that? Equally, can Brentford kind of play through the press and go long? They always have that option with Mbeumo as well. So, whilst it might be quite tiring with you kind of all over us like a rash, actually, if we can go, we can mix it up. We can mix up our style if we need to, go a little bit longer if we need to. And obviously with that pace, it's always a threat.
So do you have any sort of patterns of play, how you play? You were saying earlier about the wing backs. They're the ones who sort of whip balls in the crowd. How do most of your goals come about?
Yeah, we're a big threat from set pieces
Okay.
as well. Long throws, stuff like that. Work a lot on those. So United would need to be wary of them. So but we score all types. And I tell you what, you don't want to concede a penalty against us.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, Ivan Toney, if he does play, Thomas Frank calls him the best penalty taker in the world. Yeah. He reckons. I don't know if you've seen any of them, but he's
of course, he's cool as the cat. Yeah, ice cool. But I saw a stat the other day saying he missed one in about 1 in 19. A bit like Letizia.
Yeah, that's not many. And then I think, to be honest, obviously we had a 95th minute penalty against Watford, and obviously he missed the game. But Brian Mbeumo stepped up, and he just it looked like
he went down the middle, though, didn't he?
It looked like Tony Mark too. He just sent the keeper in the backside, and the ball just nestled into the net, and it sent the kind of fans wild. So if Tony doesn't make it, and we do get a spot kick, then I'm sure Mbeumo can step up and stick it away. Well, that being said, De Gea is. I know he had a horrendous penalty record, didn't he? But I think he's kind of turning it around a little bit.
Well, in the Europa League final, he didn't save one or get close to any of them. But we have got Bruno Fernandes and Ronaldo, 2 guys like your 2 guys who are probably up there with Tony and Mbeumo and the other guy you mentioned there. What I do like, Jake, is these penalties. I think they waited especially Tony, he waits to see what the goalkeeper does. So he's always got option left or right or down the middle. Waits to see what the goalie does and then just rolls it in. It just looks so cool. Yeah. And I see Mbema, he done a little jump, a bit like Bruno or used to do, a little jump and then just roll it down the middle. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, it's not settled by penalties. I want to see goals in open play and have the most exciting game because, Brentford are on the up. And do you think this is the most anticipated game when you look at the fixture list?
I would say so for sure. I think given by how difficult it is to get a ticket as well, I would say yes. I would say that it's the one game that I think at the start of the season, when have we got United at home? Annoyingly, I'm away. I'm going to miss the game, so I'm not too pleased about that. But which is obviously disappointing. But it's definitely the one that sold out probably the quickest, hardest to get ticket. They are like a golden ticket. I don't see any spares floating around on social media or anything like that.
Jay, just to wind up now, I've just got a few questions coming in from the comments here. Christian Timon Vaughan, he's one of our regulars. He's asking, does Jake ever have any concerns about the link with Michelin or however you spell it and their owner having two teams?
Not really. I think they are run separately. We did have one sporting director who actually worked for both clubs. However, he just announced last week that he's leaving and he will just be staying with Michelin for a little bit a time before kind of going into something different. We signed Frank Onyeka from them in the summer, and they signed Henrik Dalsgaard after he got released by Brentford in the summer as well. So no, there's no real issue. There's not like a kind of pecking order or anything like that. I think if anything, what it does is it gives some players maybe from Midland out a potential pathway into the Premier League, and also the one advantage is that we have the one advantage is that we obviously through having the scouts in Denmark and stuff like that we're a lot more aware of other talent over there. So we've got quite a lot of Danish players, Christian Norgard, stuff like that. But actually, some of the younger players coming through, like Mads Bidstrup, Mads Bech Sorensen, Mads Roslev, so quite a lot of other youngsters that are coming through the ranks.
I'm glad you're announcing these names and not me. Here's Stumpy says, is Brentford's Nyland still going?
I have no idea what he's talking about. Sorry.
Okay. And Gallagher is a baller from Mike Green. I don't know.
Unless he's talking about Gallagher from Chelsea, who's on at Palace. He played well when we played him.
Here's another one from Christmas time with Vaughan. Brentford's wing backs will eat us alive if our front four phone in defence performance like they did Norwich. Okay, so if we play like Norwich, your wing backs will eat us alive, he says. And finally, if he says, how does their reserve keeper get on with a high block press? Can he reliably hit Mbemo under pressure? Good question.
Yeah, I think his distribution has been a bit hit and miss, but it is improving. The Everton game that I went to, the few balls he did put out of play and stuff like that. But what we do is when the keeper does have the ball at his feet, the wing, the two centre halves on the right and left will pull really, really wide. So, to give them options and spread the play. And if they don't pick up the ball, then maybe a central midfielder can come and get it off them as well. So there are different options available.
Brilliant. You know what? You got me nervous now, Jacob. I thought I've already put down, we're going to win this game. We're marching on. But now, after talking to you, I'm not so sure. There's a big question mark, Brentford are doing so well. So, it's a great time to be a Brentford fan. And I really appreciate you coming on again. Like I say, you were here for the friendly. This is the first game we're playing you in the league. And hopefully we'll do another preview when we play each other at Old Trafford later definitely on in the season, But do you want to give me a final score prediction before we sign out?
I think given the kind of turmoil in your camp at the moment, even if the game goes ahead, you might not have a full team available. I think Brentford may win 2-1.
Wow. Well, I'm going to say Man United to win 1-0. I'm famous for that 1-0 scoreline. Either way, I'm going down there. We'll be interviewing afterwards. We got our camera set up and everything. We go to all the London games. So we'll be outside the stadium. Do you know a good spot where we can do the interviewing? It's not on the grounds. We can't do. I haven't been to the new stadium yet, but
to be honest, in and around the ground straight after would be really, really busy. So maybe on the high street somewhere.
All
Like,
right.
I would
Maybe
say.
I'll give you a call later. You can let me know where the way end is. I want to catch some
Yeah.
banks coming out, So unless we lose, then I might do a runner. But Jacob, it's been fantastic having you on.
Nice one.
Always great insight. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Love what you're doing out there, bruv, with all the information and your job and everything else. And keep tuned into the Man United agenda as well.
Nice one. Thanks a lot for having me.
All right. And to everyone who's commented in, thank you. We're back tomorrow at 8 o'clock for a studs up and a preview for the game as well. So make sure you tune in to the Man United agenda. From me, OMONDI Juma. From Jacob, we're out. Have a lovely evening. Good night.